British officers came with a proposal to set up a small factory in the eastern part of India. The then Mughal Emperor Jahangir agreed upon the humble request of the foreigners and allocated to them a small piece of land in the banks of River Hooghly in erstwhile Calcutta. The company was later named the East India Company, and the land allocated to them established the military garrison of the British forces in India, subsequently leading to a 300-year-long period of suppression, brutality, and aristocracy.
In the late 1840s and early 1850s, tensions began to emerge when a British policy called the Doctrine of Lapse declared that the East India Company would take control of Indian states where a local ruler had died without an heir. The system was subject to abuse, and the company used it to annex territories in a questionable manner. The doctrine made the Mughals particularly unhappy, as it was declared by the East India Company that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, his descendants would no longer enjoy the reign of the empire. These, along with many other factors, are said to have sparked the uprising of 1857. However, one anecdote indicates the exact cause of the Sepoy Mutiny.
In February 1857, new cartridges issued to the Bengal native infantry were wrapped in paper greased with cow and pig fat and had to be opened by mouth, thus offending religious sentiments of both Hindus and Muslims in India. Eyeing events like these, the then 29 years old Mangal Pandey, a sepoy in the 34th Bengal Native Infantry Regiment of the British East India Company, declared rebellion against his commanders in Barakpur. There is no doubt that conflict over the new rifle cartridges sparked the uprising in 1857. But the reality is that social, political, and even technological reforms had set the stage for what happened.
In this short film, we will take you around these historic sites in the capital city which witnessed the first revolt for independence. Shah Jahanabad, commonly referred to as Old Delhi or the Walled City, was one such place.
The fortified city of Shah Jahanabad had 14 gates. We are standing at the Kashmiri Gate, called so as this location defined the route towards Kashmir from Shah Jahanabad. It was built by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in 1638. This gate was significantly used by Indian freedom fighters, primarily to fire cannonballs against the British during the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857, popularly referred to as the First War of Indian Independence.
The bullet marks on the walls of Kashmiri Gate speak of the long battles that it witnessed.
From Kashmiri Gate, Raj and I headed towards St. James Church. The church was built as a result of a private promise by Colonel James Skinner when he lay wounded on a battlefield in 1800 that if he survived his injuries, he would build a church. I am now standing at the St. James Church, which exemplifies the typical architecture of British India in 1800s. Commissioned by Colonel James Skinner and designed by Robert Smith in 1836, the church was frequented by Britishers during the First War of Independence.
A bit ahead of the St. James Church, we come across a forgotten edifice that hosted the armory of the Anglo-Indian military. This edifice is extremely significant in the history of the uprising, as the Anglo-Indian military blew up this very magazine after a brave fight put up by the Indian sepoys during the revolt of 1857. The sound of which thundered across the entire city, creating a huge momentum.
Next on our list, after visiting the magazine, is the Khuni Darwaza, situated on an open tract of land before the rise of modern buildings around it. It lies today on the Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg, about half a kilometer to the south of the Delhi Gate of Old Delhi.
So now I'm standing in front of the Khuni Darwaza. The history of Khuni Darwaza goes back to the times of the late Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. When the late Mughal Emperor was exiled to Rangoon in Burma by the British, his sons tried to flee away from the British, but in vain. They were finally caught in the Humayun's tomb and were executed right in this very monument behind me. thus the name Huni Darwaza.
A sight that reminds one of a dreadful incident as this had us quickly move to our next destination, the Mutiny Memorial. This intricately designed monument that I am at is called the Mutiny Memorial. It was erected in 1863 by the British Indian government in remembrance of the British soldiers who laid their lives in an attempt to recapture Delhi in the First War of Independence. It's also in memory of the Indian soldiers of the Delhi Field Force. The memorial is built in the Gothic style in red sandstone, with 4 tiers rising from an octagonal base. The memorial is situated just 200 meters away from the Ashoka pillar. The Government of Free India post-independence instituted this plaque in memory of the enemy as referred to by the plaque instituted by the Anglo-Indian government. Starting from the Kashmiri Gate, we are now at the Coronation Park, which is the site of the erstwhile Delhi Darbar. This is where King George V announced his coronation as the Emperor of India to the governors, princes and the people of India on the 22nd day of June 1911. This statue was shifted from India Gate and brought here post-independence. In 2005, the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage and the Government of Delhi resolved to restore Coronation Park, which was long in a state of neglect. Delhi Development Authority has prepared a plan which includes the conservation and heritage of the precincts of the Coronation Pillar. DDA expects to develop it as a tourist spot since it is very close to the National Highway 1 bypass.
This obelisk that once symbolized British supremacy has no relevance anymore today.
A revolt that began in 1857 paved the way for Indian independence 90 years hence.
However, freedom did not come easy. It came at a cost of innumerable sacrifices laid by martyrs for this great nation.
It is because of their freedom struggles that today we proudly celebrate 68 years of Indian independence.